She had moved to Korea chasing a dream no one else understood, studying alone in a quiet library, struggling to master a language that felt impossible. She never expected him, handsome, confident, untouchable, to notice her. And in that moment, her life, her dream, everything changed. The late afternoon sun slanted through the tall library windows, casting golden rectangles across the polished wooden floor. Jemima sat at a corner table, head bent over her notebook, pencil moving furiously. A thick textbook on Korean grammar lay open beside her, its pages littered with notes, sticky tabs, and half-erased mistakes. Her job at a creative tech startup had been her dream, until the language barrier made it feel like a nightmare. Every day was a delicate balance between hope and embarrassment, misinterpreted emails, awkward meetings, and colleagues who seemed polite but subtly frustrated when she struggled to express herself. Today had been especially rough. She had spent the morning rewriting a client report 3 times because her hangul wasn't precise enough. Jemima let out a frustrated sigh, pushing her hair back from her face. "Why is this so hard?" she whispered, tracing a complicated sentence in her notebook with her pencil. She had loved Korean long before she moved here, its rhythm, its elegance, the way it carried meaning, but the words often tangled themselves on her tongue and refused to come out right. She had promised herself that she would make it work, no matter what. Every evening, she searched online for study materials, watched endless video lessons, and scoured forums for tips. And now, in the quiet sanctuary of the library, she hoped to find something that would finally make it click. Unbeknownst to her, someone had been watching. Kang Minute, CEO of a leading tech company, preferred to spend his rare free hours in libraries. The smell of paper, the quiet hum of concentration. He found it peaceful. He had noticed her weeks ago, the young woman at the far corner table, her brow furrowed, lips pursed in concentration, always immersed in her studies. There was something about her, the way she refused to give up, the delicate tension in her fingers as she wrote, the quiet determination that radiated from her, that drew his attention like a magnet. Today, as he walked past her table to grab a book, her pencil slipped from her hand. Jemima gasped as it rolled under the table, nearly hitting her back. Before she could scramble to pick it up, a tall, calm hand reached out. "Hey," a gentle voice said. "I think this belongs to you." She looked up, and her breath caught. He was even more striking up close, sharp features softened by a kind smile, neatly styled hair, and eyes that seemed to see right into her effort and struggle. Thank you," she stammered, cheeks flushing. "You're studying Korean?" he asked, nodding toward her open textbook. Jemima nodded, biting her lip. "Yes, it's difficult." He leaned slightly closer, eyes attentive but not imposing. "I can tell. But I also see how hard you're trying. That's impressive." Her heart skipped, not just because he noticed her, but because no one had ever described her struggles as impressive before. She felt seen. "Actually," he said, pulling out his phone, "if you want, I could help you practice sometime. I know it's hard to get everything right on your own." Her pencil nearly slipped again. "You would." He smiled, handing her his contact. "Of course. You're clearly passionate. Passion deserves a little help." Jemima's fingers trembled slightly as she saved his contact. Her heart was racing, excitement, disbelief, and a fluttering hope she hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time in Korea, she felt that maybe, just maybe, her dream could become real. As he walked away, she watched him disappear between the tall bookshelves, her textbook suddenly feeling lighter in her hands. Somewhere between grammar exercises and vocabulary lists, something new had started, something that could change everything. This could be the start of something extraordinary, she thought, smiling softly to herself. The next afternoon, the cafe near the library smelled of roasted coffee beans and sweet pastries. Jemima sat at a quiet corner table, her laptop open, and textbooks spread around her like a fortress. She glanced nervously at the door, her heart beating faster than she would admit. Today was her first official tutoring session with Kang Minute. When he arrived, she felt her breath catch. Dressed simply in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, He still exuded the kind of effortless charisma that made heads turn, though today his smile was reserved just for her. "Hello, Jemima," he greeted softly, sliding into the chair across from her. "Ready to tackle some Korean?" She nodded, cheeks pink. I hope so." He pulled out a notebook filled with neat, precise notes. "I thought we could start with what's giving you the most trouble. Then we can make it practical, something you can use at work, in emails, or meetings. How does that sound?" She felt a spark of hope. That would be amazing. As the session began, he guided her patiently through difficult phrases, pronunciation nuances, and sentence structures. His explanations were clear, but he also sprinkled in little cultural tips, the kind of knowledge textbooks never taught. "See," he said, pointing to a phrase she had struggled with, "this isn't just words. It's how people think. If you say it like this, it feels natural. Koreans, we pay attention to these small details." Jemima tried again, and this time her words flowed more smoothly. Kang Minute nodded approvingly, and she couldn't help but smile, feeling a small victory bubbling inside her. "You're a fast learner," he said, glancing at her notes. "And you're passionate. That's rare." She blinked, warmth spreading through her chest. "Thank you. It's just, sometimes it feels impossible. At work, people expect me to be fluent. And I just want to do well." He leaned back, studying her for a moment. "I can see that. And that's why I think you'll succeed. Language is hard, but your determination, that's stronger than any barrier." Her heart fluttered at the intensity in his gaze. There was admiration there, but also something softer, something personal. Jemima could feel it, like a gentle current pulling her closer. After a while, the conversation shifted from textbooks to culture. She told him about her love for Korean food, the tteokbokki she had tried at a street stall, the spicy kimchi she was learning to cook herself. In return, he shared stories from his childhood, the quiet streets he loved walking in, and his favorite hidden bookstores in Seoul. They laughed over language mishaps, teasing each other gently. When she mispronounced a word, he corrected her softly, and she caught herself staring a little longer at his face than she intended. By the time the cafe dimmed with the early evening light, Jemima felt something she hadn't in a long time, a sense of belonging. Not just in the language, not just in the city, but in this moment with someone who saw her, truly saw her, and wanted to help her shine. As they packed up their things, Kang Minute handed her a small note with a few extra practice tips. "Don't forget," he said, smiling, "you're doing better than you think." Jemima tucked the note into her notebook, heart racing. "Thank you, really, for noticing me, for everything." He gave a faint bow, playful and charming. "I think it's you who deserves credit. Keep going, and we'll meet again, same time next week." She nodded, her smile bright and hopeful. "Yes, I'll be ready." Walking back through the streets of Seoul, her textbooks under her arm, Jemima felt like the city itself had shifted around her. Maybe dreams weren't just fantasies, they were steps, lessons, and small victories slowly building towards something extraordinary. And maybe, just maybe, someone extraordinary could be part of that journey. The office was buzzing with chatter, phones ringing, and the clatter of keyboards. Jemima sat at her desk, pencil tapping nervously against her notebook. Today was important. She had to present a project proposal to her team, all in Korean. She had practiced for hours, but the words still felt heavy on her tongue, the grammar slippery and awkward. As she began speaking in the meeting, a few heads tilted slightly in confusion. One colleague raised an eyebrow, and another whispered to a teammate. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment, and she faltered on a critical sentence. The room fell silent for a moment before she managed to finish. She sank back into her chair, heart pounding, feeling the weight of every misstep. After work, still trembling from the meeting, Jemima retreated to the library. She needed calm, focus, and perhaps a miracle. Sitting down at her usual table, she spread her notes, muttering phrases under her breath. "You look like you could use a little help," a familiar voice said. Jemima looked up. Kang Minute was leaning against the table, casual but radiant. She blinked, stunned. You're here? He smiled, sliding into the chair opposite her. Of course. I wanted to see how my star pupil was doing. Jemima felt her heart skip. I messed up at work today. I couldn't. Her voice trailed off, frustration welling up. He reached across the table, placing a reassuring hand near Hayes, not touching, just close enough to comfort. Hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Learning a new language, especially one as nuanced as Korean, is hard. Mistakes are part of the process. She looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. You really believe I can do this? Absolutely, he said softly. And I have a feeling you're going to shine, not just here, but everywhere you want to be. She smiled, a small warmth blooming in her chest. Then, hesitantly, she asked, By the way, you've never told me much about yourself. What do you do? He paused, his smile slightly mischievous. I'm the CEO of a tech company. Jemima froze mid-breath. Wait, what? He nodded casually, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. Yes, I run my own company. Her mind whirled. All this time, the man who had been patiently tutoring her, laughing with her over mispronunciations, encouraging her every step, he was a CEO, a powerful, brilliant, untouchable man. And yet, here he was, sitting in a library, treating her like an equal. You're a CEO, she whispered, shock and mingling in her voice. He chuckled softly, a warm, low sound that made her stomach flutter. Yes. Surprised? Surprised? Yes. Shocked? Definitely, she admitted, laughing nervously. He leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. I wanted you to see me, not my title. Just me. But I suppose the truth comes out eventually. Her heart raced. For the first time, the distance between them felt electric, charged with curiosity, admiration, and something deeper. Still, I can't believe it, she murmured, smiling shyly. You don't have to believe it, he said, his eyes locking with hers. You just have to believe in yourself. Everything else will fall into place. They spent the next hour working together, practicing phrases and correcting mistakes, but the air between them had changed. Every glance lingered a moment longer. Every shared laugh carried a subtle intimacy. Jemima caught herself glancing at his hands, his eyes, and feeling the quiet thrill of being seen, not as a struggling foreigner, but as someone remarkable. As the sun dipped behind the city skyline, they packed their things. Kang Minute tucked a small notebook into her bag. Keep this. I added a few extra exercises for you. And next time, we'll try some real-life practice. Maybe at your office. Her eyes widened. You'd help me there too. He smiled, leaning back casually. Of course. I'm invested in your success. And I might be invested in seeing you smile a lot more. Jemima's cheeks flushed, her pulse quickening. Walking home, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he looked at her, the way he believed in her, the quiet closeness that was growing between them. Maybe this city, this life, and even her struggles were all part of leading her to him. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to fall. The city lights of Seoul shimmered as Jemima stepped out of the subway, textbooks tucked under her arm, heart fluttering in anticipation. Today wasn't about grammar, homework, or language exercises. It was about life, about exploring the city she loved and sharing it with someone who had suddenly become important. Kang Minute was waiting at the entrance, leaning casually against a lamppost, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. Ready for your first official Seoul tour? He asked, a teasing smile playing on his lips. Jemima laughed, adjusting her scarf. I've been ready my whole life. I just didn't know I'd be accompanied by someone so distracting. He tilted his head, pretending to look offended. Distracting? Me? I'm only here to make sure you don't get lost. The first stop was a small street food alley tucked between high-rise buildings. The air was thick with the aroma of sizzling tteokbokki, spicy rice cakes coated in bright red sauce, and sweet oating skewers. Jemima's eyes widened. This smells amazing. Kang Minute smiled, ordering for both of them. As she took her first bite, her eyes sparkled with delight. "It's even better than I imagined," she said, cheeks slightly red from the spice. He laughed softly. "I knew you'd like it. There's more to Korea than textbooks, you know." They wandered through bookstores next, fingers brushing over worn covers and fresh paper. Jemima shyly showed him a section on African literature she had discovered in Seoul, and he listened, genuinely fascinated, asking questions and smiling at her passion. "I didn't know Korea had so many hidden treasures," Jemima said, glancing at him. "Thank you for showing me." He shook his head. "You're the one finding them. I just follow your lead." They spent the afternoon hopping between museums, a small hidden tea house, and finally a quiet park. The sun began to dip, casting golden light over the cityscape, reflecting in her eyes. At one point, as they sat on a bench overlooking the river, Jemima looked at him seriously. "Kang Minute, I can't believe someone like you would take time to be with me. You're amazing." He reached over, lightly brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And you, how incredible. I've never met someone so dedicated, so passionate. You inspire me, Jemima." Her chest tightened at the warmth in his words. Their hands brushed, lingering slightly longer than necessary. Her heart raced, but it wasn't just the thrill of his attention, it was the comfort of being seen, of being appreciated for who she truly was. They walked back through the city streets, laughter and teasing flowing naturally between them. When they paused at her apartment door, he looked at her with an intensity that made her breath catch. "I'll see you tomorrow at the library," he asked softly, though it sounded more like a promise than a question. She nodded, smiling. "Yes, I'll be ready." As she watched him disappear into the night, Jemima realized that her life was beginning to change, not just because of her studies, or her job, or the city she loved, but because someone extraordinary had entered it. For the first time in a long time, she felt whole, excited for the future, and eager to face every challenge, language, walk, or heart, head-on. Because now, she wasn't doing it alone. The morning sunlight streamed through the office windows, but Jemima barely noticed. Her mind was elsewhere, tangled in a mix of worry and uncertainty. Yesterday, something had happened, something small, yet it gnawed at her. During their Seoul excursion, Kang Minute had smiled at another woman briefly, a client he had met casually. Jemima knew it was nothing, rationally, but a flicker of doubt crept into her heart. She found herself questioning whether he really felt the same closeness she did, or if she was reading too much into a friendship that had grown too quickly. At work, her nerves didn't help. Every email, every interaction with her colleagues felt like a test she might fail. And now, the thought of Kang Minute, so confident, so extraordinary, made her heart ache with longing and anxiety. After work, she retreated to the library, hoping that diving into her studies would calm her racing thoughts. As usual, Kang Minute was there, seated at his corner table, eyes scanning a thick novel. When he noticed her arrival, he gave a small, warm smile, but Jemima barely returned it. "Jemima," he greeted softly, "you look troubled. Everything okay?" She hesitated, struggling to find words in her still imperfect Korean. It's nothing," she murmured, keeping her gaze on her notebook. He frowned slightly, concern etched across his face. "You know you can talk to me, right? I'm not here just to teach you Korean. I'm here for you." Her chest tightened, guilt mixing with longing. She wanted to trust him, to let go of her jealousy, but the fear of being hurt lingered. I just feel unsure sometimes," she admitted finally, her voice barely above a whisper. Kang Min's expression softened. "Unsure? About what?" She hesitated, then muttered, "About us. I don't know if you feel the same." He leaned closer, voice steady, eyes fixed on hers. "Jemima, you don't need to doubt that. Yes, I notice you. Yes, I care about you. And yes, I want to be close to you." Her breath caught. She had expected reassurance, perhaps kindness, but the sincerity in his voice, the intensity in his gaze, made her heart race uncontrollably. I don't want to get hurt," she confessed, eyes glistening. He reached across the table, lightly placing a hand near hers, careful but intimate. You won't. I'll never hurt you. I care too much to let that happen. For a moment, silence wrapped around them, a quiet understanding passing between them. Her doubts didn't vanish entirely, but she felt the first flicker of trust, fragile yet undeniable. Let's focus on today, he said gently, smiling. Korean practice first. The rest, we'll figure out together. As they walked, laughter slowly returned to their session, teasing and playful corrections filling the quiet library corners. But Jemima couldn't shake the warmth in her chest, the realization that despite doubts, despite misunderstandings, she had found someone who would fight alongside her, not just for her language, but for her heart. Walking home later, she replayed their conversation over and over. Her heart was full of questions, yes, but also hope. The tension had reminded her that feelings weren't simple, that love required trust as much as it required courage. And Jemima knew one thing for certain. She was willing to take that leap. The library was quieter than usual that evening, the soft hum of fluorescent lights blending with the rustle of turning pages. Jemima sat at their usual table, textbooks open, but her mind wandered. Her heart still raced from the previous day's conversation. Kang Min's words had lingered with her, weaving into every thought. I care too much to let that happen. When he arrived, his presence filled the space instantly, warm and steady. He didn't smile immediately, just gave her a small nod, his eyes lingering on her like he was seeing every worry etched into her face. Jemima, he said softly, leaning against the edge of the table. Can we talk? Her stomach fluttered. Yes, of course. He pulled out a chair, sitting across from her, but this time, the distance felt charged with something unspoken. I've been thinking, he began, his voice low but steady, about us, about these past few weeks, watching you work so hard, seeing your determination, your kindness. I realize I don't just admire you as a student or as someone learning Korean. I admire you, all of you. Jemima's breath hitched, her pencil slipping slightly on the notebook. Kang Minute. He held up a hand, stopping her gently. Let me finish. I know you face struggles, walk, language, adapting to life here. And yet, you never give up. You shine in a way that no one else does. I can't stop thinking about you. Jemima, I like you, more than I've ever liked anyone. And I want to be with you. Time seemed to still around her. Her heart pounded so loudly she feared he could hear it. Words caught in her throat, overwhelmed by the sincerity in his eyes, the warmth in his smile, the undeniable gravity of his confession. I like you too, she whispered finally, tears pricking the corners of her eyes. I've never felt seen like this before. A soft, almost shy smile curved his lips. Then, can I hold your hand? Her breath caught, but she nodded, letting him take her hand in his. The contact was electric yet tender, a quiet promise of closeness, trust, and something deeper than either had felt before. They sat there for a long moment, hands intertwined, sharing quiet smiles. Every word unspoken carried more meaning than words ever could. For Jemima, it was more than romance. It was validation, a reminder that her struggles were not invisible, that her perseverance mattered, and that she had found someone willing to support her dreams, her growth, and her heart. After a few more minutes of gentle conversation, Kang Minute stood, offering his hand to help her gather her books. Tomorrow, he said, a playful glint in his eyes, we'll practice some real-life situations again, maybe at my office. I can show you around, and we can continue your Korean practice there. Jemima's eyes widened in surprise. Your office? He nodded, smiling softly. Yes, I thought it would be fun, and a little different from the library. Her cheeks flushed, a mix of excitement and nerves. I'd like that, she whispered. As she walked home under the softly glowing city lights, she realized something profound. Life in Korea, with its challenges and dreams, had finally begun to feel complete. She was learning the language, growing in her job. And now, she was in love. And for the first time, She felt a calm certainty that whatever came next, she wouldn't have to face it alone. The morning sun streamed through the glass windows of Kang Min's office, casting a warm glow over the sleek, modern space. Jemima stepped inside, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. Today wasn't just another tutoring session. It was a chance to practice her Korean in a real, dynamic setting, and see the world Kang Min worked in. Kang Min greeted her at the door with his usual calm smile, but there was a sparkle in his eyes that made her stomach flutter. "Welcome," he said, motioning toward the office. "I thought we could do some practical exercises while you explore a bit. Nothing too formal, just fun and useful." Jemima nodded, clutching her notebook. As they walked through the office, she marveled at the design and the subtle elegance of the space. But more than the surroundings, she noticed the care in the way Kang Min interacted with his team, friendly, attentive, and genuine. They settled at a small lounge area, and Kang Min guided her through real-life role-play exercises, practicing phrases, casual conversation, and polite requests in Korean. Jemima felt her confidence growing with every sentence, every correction, every encouraging word from him. "You've improved so much," Kang Min said after a particularly smooth exchange. "You're remarkable." Her cheeks warmed at the compliment, but before she could respond, he gently took her hand. "Jemima, there's something I've been meaning to do." Her heart skipped. "What?" He smiled softly, eyes searching hers. "I want to show you how proud I am of you, not just for your Korean, but for your courage, your determination, everything you are." And then, slowly, tenderly, he leaned closer. Jemima's breath caught as he brushed a strand of hair from her face, his fingers lingering near her cheek. Their eyes met, and in that quiet moment, the office seemed to fade away, the hum of computers, the chatter of employees, everything disappeared. He closed the distance, and their lips met in a gentle, slow kiss. Warmth spread through Jemima's chest, a mix of relief, joy, and the culmination of weeks of longing and connection. It was soft, comforting, yet full of the electricity that had been building between them since the library. Pulling back slightly, Kang Min rested his forehead against hers, smiling. "You make everything better, Jemima." She smiled back, tears glimmering in her eyes. "And you make me feel like I can really do anything." The rest of the afternoon passed in a blissful blur. They laughed, practiced Korean, shared stories, and explored small corners of his office together. By the time Jemima left, she felt more confident, more alive, and more certain than ever that dreams, personal, professional, or romantic, could come true. Walking home, she thought about her journey, the struggles at WAUC, the endless hours of study, the moments of doubt, and now, the incredible connection she shared with Kang Min. She had faced every challenge with courage, and in return, she had found someone who admired her, supported her, and loved her. As the city lights twinkled around her, Jemima realized something profound. She had come to Korea chasing a dream, and she had found it in a way she had never imagined. Not just language, not just career, but love, respect, and a partner to face life with. And somewhere between textbooks and whispered confessions, between practice sessions and quiet walks through the city, Jemima's heart had finally found its home. Thank you for watching this story all the way to the end. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming K-drama inspired love stories.